Live?
You're live.
Official. Which camera? I want to make sure I'm looking at it. Welcome, internet world. So we're waiting on a few folks to grab their pastries and coffee. And again, we're not used to having more. This is very informal, even though we're in a classroom. So no, if you do need to take a phone call or if you need to step out, please feel free to do so. We just appreciate being here this morning to network and to hear from our speaker today. So welcome everyone here to Greenville Technical College's Center for Manufacturing Innovation. Who has not been here? More than half the room. So isn't it a beautiful facility? So thank you for allowing us to host it. This is Larry Robertson, who is, I'll let him say what he does here and introduce his title and everything for just a minute so you can hear what great things they have going on right here.
Absolutely.
This is for the live stream.
Ma'am?
That's for the live stream. That's what you
Okay. Well, folks, we are certainly glad that you're with us today. I used to go to a conference down in Sea Palms, Georgia, and you could have a hurricane coming through, and every day they would say, it's a great day to be at Sea Palms. But I feel that way about Greenville Tech. So we are part of the Greenville Technical College system. We have the CMI campus here. And mostly what we focus on at this campus is advanced manufacturing. So we do a lot of mechatronics and a lot of machining. But I am also housed at this campus, and I work in the skilled trades on economic development side of the college. And we partner with ABC of the Carolinas with our electrical apprenticeship. We've been doing that apprenticeship for a while now, probably 15 years, Chris. And this past year, we just started a construction academy and a carpentry program. So I have some flyers up on the front of the table on our electrical apprenticeship. If you would like to take a flyer, it's got the basics on it. And the thing about it is, all of the electrical contractors own their own apprenticeship, and they just sort of contract with us as a group to do the formal classroom instruction, and that sort of helps them be able to do that. So we appreciate that opportunity, and we certainly would love to have other opportunities in the construction area.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Appreciate you. And if you're just joining live stream, we are here at Greenville Technical College and just very excited to have our ABC of the Carolinas Upstate Regional, and we try to do this monthly event. And so this morning we have a council that tells us what we need and what we need to have and what they want to see and how they want to get involved. And so from that came today's event. We're networking with a speaker. Before I introduce him, I also want to recognize our board of directors president, Chris Moore, who is in the back, so you can wave. Yes, so we appreciate him. We have another board member here, Christy Powell. Anyone else that I'm missing from our board? And we have several council members, so we appreciate everyone being here and supporting this event. This is sponsored by 84 Lumber, so we appreciate them and what they do here for us. Okay, without further ado, because I know I'm taking up Adam's time, but this is Adam Hoots, and he is a lean construction expert. Many of you have heard him speak before. I have asked him to condense an hour into like 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. But more like it to him, 30 minutes or so. So, because I know you guys also want to network afterwards for a little bit before headed to the office. We'd like to get you out a little after, between 8:30 and 9 to be mindful of your time. So without further ado, Adam, you can take it away. Yes.
All right. So, and you're like a natural. Like, now we're live streaming, and we are. So, folks, we are all over the world right now, right? We're live streaming on YouTube and LinkedIn. Thanks to Mr. James Camposano making that recommendation. Good morning. How are y'all? You know I'm not taking that. Good morning. How are y'all? Great. Good. What did you say? Well, I like that. It's different. I usually say fabulous. It's something different, right? It sparks the mind. Yeah, fair to Midland, the old country boy saying. I like that. So, good morning. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the production laws and what that looks like, what that feels like. We're going to talk about some 8 waste. I had some activities. I was really going to pick on someone today, but they might get a little bit of a break. We'll see. I do have an hour's worth of content. We're going to condense into 30-ish minutes, and that includes some feedback. So this is the agenda that I have got. I want to introduce you to who I am. I want to get your expectations. That way that I can meet them, right? We call those conditions of satisfaction where I come from. I want you to leave here satisfied, and I got to know what that means in order to do that for you. We're going to talk about the 8 wastes. Who knows the 8 wastes? Wow. Oh man, I'm excited. Oh boy. I know the live stream out here is probably all raising their hands. They better be anyway. We're going to talk a little bit about buffers. We're going to do a plus delta so you can help me get better. And then I've got some other things maybe we'll get to, maybe we won't. So does that sound like a plan? Who am I? So this is me. The top right, those are my girls. I have 16-year-old twin daughters, and they are beautiful. They are models for Greenville Fashion Week. My wife, also beautiful, Brittany, she has a boutique. I am just surrounded by love from that perspective. The bottom right are my dogs, Homer and Kai. Homer is Home Run Hoots. Yes, we are a baseball family. I was previously a baseball coach, got some things going on that don't allow me to do that anymore. But that is me. I started as a plumber in the industry. So at 17, I was a plumber. I did not feel respected. I did not like what I did, so I left. I went to college, graduated from USF, worked with Whiting Turner for 14 years all over the country, life science, clean rooms, labs, worked for DPR here locally for 4 years, and then a smaller company, Langston, and now I'm a construction coach, right? So I coach large-scale commercial construction teams on how to implement lean in their organizations. I am also the voice of the Lean Builder Boots on the Ground podcast with No Bullshito. So hopefully y'all can check that out on your favorite podcast platform. It's out there. Also a member of the Skilled Trades Alliance, where we're trying to recognize and honor those folks who have the best workforce programs out there. So that is me. I'm also a professor at Clemson University. I don't know how I left that one out, but I teach construction scheduling, and I'm also a PhD candidate out there right now too. So, like a true lean practitioner, I want to hear from y'all. Don't be shy. I will wait. We will not move on until I get at least 3 answers. What do you expect today? What do you want to hear? What would leave you satisfied? What does success look like today, y'all? Tools to make the industry better. Okay. I might have to spend 30 more minutes, Ms. John. I cut tools out. I'm going to teach you theory. We'll teach 5S. I'll get to it. What else? Give me 2 more. Stories. Okay, I can do that. I love stories. Yeah, people learn best with stories. What was your name? Thank you. Oh, Kyle. Nice. Thank you. Welcome. Stories. How about one more? Like how to build lasting relationships? Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Itching, burning? Man, we got some silence out there. Okay. So relationships, tools, and stories. I like it. All right. So we're going to talk briefly about the 8 wastes. These are a tool, right? If you can start to recognize these on a job site, you'll be able to then mitigate them. A lot of people like the acronym downtime, right? And that stands for defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, movement or motion, and extra processing. And so these 8 wastes are everywhere, right? Like the kid on The Sixth Sense where it's like, I see dead people. When I'm on the job site, I see waste. I see waste everywhere, okay? I'm not a huge fan of memorizing things and speaking in acronyms. So when people talk about downtime, it just kind of irks me. Or Tim Wood, it irks me. So Mr. Kyle, I'm going to tell you a quick story, okay? So Let's think of them like this. Overproduction is the mama muda, right? It's the waste that creates all the other waste. And so if I overproduce, I'm inevitably going to have to transport that production to inventory where I'm going to have defects. When I have defects, I have to take that and move it back to the line, to the production line, and I have to extra process it. All the meanwhile, I'm losing out on things that I should have been doing while I'm doing work twice. Okay? So quick story. I'm making burgers at McDonald's. And I'm overproducing. Now I've got burgers everywhere on my line, and I've got to keep making burgers. But what am I going to do? I'm going to take those burgers and I'm going to move them over here and put them into that little red light, that inventory, right? So now I've overproduced, I have unnecessary transportation, and now I have inventory. Okay, there's three ways. Customer walks up, I would like a burger with no pickles. Oh, shit, all these burgers got pickles. So now I have to move, right? So now I have extra movement. I have to grab the burger, take it back to the line. I have to process it again. There's the fifth waste. Take the pickle off, rewrap it, move it back, deliver all the meanwhile my customer was waiting, and I should have been cleaning the kitchen, not making burgers twice. Does that make sense? I mean, that is every waste, and you will see it on construction over and over and over again. Hey, there's this wide open area. Go work, let's put people in there. That is overproducing, and that's creating defects for us in the future. Not to mention the mental stress that that has on your admin staff. Okay, so we're going to talk about flow today because this is the ultimate goal. This is what we're after on a job site. I need 4 volunteers. So come on up here. Come on. You already know. Come on. Need 2 more. Thank you. Uno más, por favor. Nice. Diversify us. Thank you. All right, so you're going to be my level 4. You're right here. And you're my level 3. Okay. You're going to be level 2. You're going to be level 1. Okay. Level 1 is the best. You know it. Now, all we're going to do, each one of these balls is a scope of work. Okay. And so our goal, like think about this. This is site work. And the ball, the scope of work isn't done until it hits each hand, each hand, each hand, each hand. And then you, sir, have to put it right here without it falling off. Okay? Piece of cake? All right, let's try. Let's just practice, just so you know. So I think we have it, okay? You ready? Okay, a little slow on the, ooh. All right, we'll give it to you. All right, what do you think? Pretty good? What if a manager came in and saw that? What would they say? We got 4 people working, or 8 hands, only 1 to 2 of them working at a time. What's my resource efficiency there? Yeah, 1 out of 4 people working. Is that 25% resource efficiency? That's terrible. We will never make money that way. If I'm a manager and I walk in and I see that, I'm like, oh, buddy, what are we doing? And so especially in construction, we want to see everybody busy all the time, right? And so we usually hire extra people to come in and make everybody busy all the time. And so I'm going to be that person, and we're going to do this, okay? You ready? Okay, so remember, every ball touches every person's every hand before you set it down, defect free. Ready? Okay, here you go, here you go, here you go. Here you go, 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 here you go. Every ball touches every hand. Does that ball touch every hand? Nope. That ball is not. That ball started 2 hands in. Yep. All right. Timeout. You got 4. 1's on the floor. What was our resource efficiency right there? Was everybody working? Yeah? I can tell. Unproductively, yes. Okay, so good. So what do we do here, right? As a manager, as a supervisor, I don't want to push work into place, right? I want to make work available. And I'm just going to say, Alex, can you please just pull work in when you're ready, okay? All right, stop. All right, that was before you got that last one now. Yeah, we keep working here. So thank you all. You guys can have a seat now. Now, what just happened in that last example? You want to keep one for memory? What happened in the last example? Did we have 100% of people working? Y'all gonna have to talk to me. I'll leave. If this is boring, I'm gonna leave. We did? Well, I think we had more like 3-ish. Maybe we had 1 or 2 hands not working. And so, I hope this comes off. So resource efficiency. In the first example, I don't know if y'all can see this or not. We had 100% working. 100% of the people were working. Our time it took us was about 5 seconds to get a ball through or so, right? Going through. And we had 1 piece of throughput, 1 piece of inventory, or 1 piece of throughput. In the second example, I'm sorry, that was not what we had. We had 20% in the first example, 25%, right? Remember, we had 1 person working, 3 people were standing there. So, man, that's bad. So in the first example, I have a customer that's like, yeah, I got 1 piece of throughput, but we still had a lot of improvement to do, right? On the second example, I've got a resource efficiency that was about 75%. And, man, I'm screwing this one up. The second example was 100%, right? And then we never really got anything through, which is an infinity of time, and we had 0 throughput. My customer's mad. My customer's angry. On the third one, we had about 75 to 80% of resource efficiency. We still had the 5 seconds, and we had about 2 pieces when I called time done. And so the point is, when we're making everybody 100% busy, things take longer. And it sounds super counterintuitive, but what happens is, and so another good story for you, Kyle. I'm on a job site at Stanford in California, okay? And I've got Eduardo, who's in this, who's forming this foundation, this mat foundation. The mat foundation's like 8 foot long by 8 foot deep by 20 foot long. Okay, this is a big old cage of rebar. And they're forming this rebar, and Eddie, we called him Fast Eddie because he always got things done fast, but he was never on the job site. And I couldn't figure it out. We had an identical project right next door, and the foreman, Johnny, we called him, and he was always behind schedule, never meeting his dates. I could not figure it out because Eddie was never there, but Johnny was always here working with his team, like making it happen. And I went to Eddie and I was like, Eddie, what the heck is going on? How are you so much faster than that other team? You're doing the same work and you're never even here. And he looked at me and he said, Hoots, wait till we get done with that footing this week and watch how productive my guys are next week when they dive right into the next task, right? Whereas Johnny was sitting there working with his hands, bending rebar, making things happen, yeah, and inspiring and encouraging his crew. But he was so involved in the work, when that team got done, they weren't ready for the next thing. And so preparing ourselves, not necessarily being 100% resource efficient, but focusing more on flow efficiency is the way to go. And we do that through putting a camera or a lens on the flow unit. So you've got to discover what is the flow unit, right? And in my business, I talk about construction. The building is the flow unit, okay? In your business, you might be an accountant, or you might be in business development or sales. Your flow unit might be the project or the contract, right? And so we've got to put our camera on the flow unit and say, hey, how are we going to move and produce and flow this from inventory to throughput? Flow efficiency is more important than resource efficiency. I would rather have 3 out of 4 people done and 2 pieces of work complete than 100% of people working and nothing done. I think all of us can agree to that. Why is that going backwards here? Don't do that. Don't go backwards. Okay, so we're going to talk about the production laws, and there are 4 of them, and they come from a book called This is Lean by Nicholas Modig. And it is a fantastic book, but it's also a very dense book, very difficult, very complicated to understand. It focuses a lot on the healthcare environment, and he is just an amazing person. And so Little's law is an actual calculation that comes from manufacturing, okay? Little's law says L equals lambda times W. So L is the average numbers in a queuing system. Lambda is the average numbers of items arriving at the system for the unit of time. So that's your your throughput, basically, how fast are things moving. And W is the average waiting time an item spends in a queuing system. And so, again, it is a formulation. I am not a mathematician. I'm not good at math. I don't math well. But I will tell you, Little's Law breaks this down into three things. And in construction, we suck at these three things. Work in small batches, right? Oh, give me the whole floor. No, you don't get the whole floor. That's like all the floors going at one time, and then we start another one. That takes time, right? It's better than everybody going at the same time, but it takes time. So work in small batches, limit your work in progress, and finish as you go. If you've worked in construction, you know we are terrible at finishing as we go. We see squirrels and we go and we work. And then we go and we work. And then we leave things everywhere undone and unfinished. We cannot do that. And so Little's Law, again, one of the most important production laws out there, tells us work in small batches, limit our work in progress, and finish as we go. In manufacturing, so I might actually skip through this. I was going to take you through some of the calculation. I'll just tell you this. There's a gentleman named Janusz Dooley and Marco Benninger, and they came up with Benninger and Dooley's law, which is basically it takes the Little's Law and it applies it to construction. Okay, and so you can scientifically perfectly schedule your project. Yes, I'm saying you can scientifically perfectly schedule your project. You can execute that as a whole nother deal. And essentially it's through tact planning is what we're starting to do. I'm not going to dive off the deep end here, but tact wagon plus tact sequence minus 1 multiplied by tact time is your tact duration. And it works every time. Actually, I will roll you through this real fast. So tact wagons, so wagons are the scopes of work, or the balls, okay? The sequences are the zones or the areas, so they would be the people, okay? Minus 1, your tact time is how long does it take each person to do one ball? Make sense? And so, and then that equals your tact duration. So let's do this. So if I had 5 people, I should have done the actual sequence. So if I had 5 wagons, so I had 5 balls to get through, and I had 2 people to get the balls through, minus 1, my tact time is 5. Okay, that's just how long it's going to take them to get the balls through. That duration is 30. So if I have tact wagons plus tact sequences minus 1 multiplied. Yeah, so each person is going to hold the ball for 5 seconds or 5 units, whatever that looks like. It'll be 5. Yeah, you can see it right there on the top. Oh boy. Right here. Okay, so you can see each person would have the scope for 5 days, 5 days, 5 days, 5 days, 5 days. When we take and we break that scope into smaller batches and we apply Little's Law, what happens is that duration shrinks, right? Because now it's 2.5, not 5, because we're doing half the space, half the area. So now we've got the same 5 wagons, but instead we're doing half a zone and we'll call it 3 days because we don't work in 2.5 days, okay? Then our total duration, what happens is it shrinks by 6. Is this making sense? We're a little funky with math right now. And then if we take that and we say, okay, let's break that up into even more. So let's take that math again. I'm going to break it up into 4 more sequences. So now I have 8 zones. I have 8 people. We're moving the zones through. My tact time would then go from 3 to 1.5, which, okay, now we're going to call it 2 because we work in full days. That's the exact same. If I go back and I break it up into 6 sequences, now we're really talking, we're starting to cut durations. And the funny part about this is we're not taking any time from our trades when we do this. So this is how you apply Little's Law. I'm going to go ahead and move forward because really we're getting into the thick of some tact planning. What I want you to know is Little's Law is 3 things. It's work in small batches, limit your work in progress, and finish as you go. The law of bottlenecks is something that I think we all know very, very well. There's always going to be one part of your process that takes longer than every other part of your process. We have got to optimize to that bottleneck. We do that through a couple of different ways. This is actually a free book by Clark Ching, The Bottleneck Rules, and he's got this formula called focus. It's that way because there's a bunch of C's. You find the bottleneck, you optimize the bottleneck, you coordinate it, you collaborate, you curate it, you upgrade it, and you start again. Okay, so again, there will always be a bottleneck. Even when you optimize your process to the most efficient way you can possibly, when you apply Little's Law and you get the smallest batches and you find that 6 zones gives you the 20-day duration, you're still going to have a bottleneck in that process, and you have to optimize your entire process to that bottleneck. You can only go as fast as that bottleneck will let you go. Then there's the law of variation, okay? If you've worked in construction, you know about the law of variation. Shit happens, right? Like, something's gonna happen on your job site. We can plan all day, but something's gonna go against what your expectations are. I think Dwight Eisenhower said, plans are useless, but planning is everything, because our current conditions are always changing and always and forever changing. So the law of variation says the longer that you let variation happen in your project or in your process, the more work that's going to be created for you, the more superfluous work that's going to be created for you. And Nicholas Modig likes to talk about receipts, right? A lot of us have Amex cards, corporate cards, or we've got to do our receipts once or once a month usually. He says, well, when he does them once a month, a lot of times he'll lose a receipt or the receipt will gray out. And so what happens is he ends up having to pick up the phone and call that hotel, and it creates additional work because he didn't just do it immediately, right? He didn't eliminate variation. He allowed for variation to come into his equation quick. And so the longer you allow for variation, the worse off that you're going to be from a plan perspective. And then the last one, which is was actually the hardest one for me to grasp, is Kingman's formula. And again, it's another one of those mathematician calculation type things. It says cycle time is equal to process time, so how long it actually takes you, multiplied by how well you utilize your resources, multiplied by the effective variation. So how much variation is in your equation. And so when you're looking at that, remember we talked about if you use 100% of your resources, your waiting time increases because you're not ready to flow to the next thing. And so I always use this example to explain Kingman's formula. If you came up to a bar and you wanted a drink, okay, and the bartender's not doing anything, so our resource efficiency is 0, right? And you say, I want, I don't know, what do you drink, Kyle? A bourbon, right? A nice bullet bourbon. Let's do a nice bullet. I think there's a bullet bourbon event coming up for ABC, right? Yeah. Kyle wants a nice bourbon. He comes up and he orders a bourbon, and the bartender, the cycle time is the bartender hears it, brings it in, goes and gets the cup. You like the big ice, the one big chunk of ice? Yeah, me too. So he puts a big chunk of ice in, grabs the bourbon, pours the bourbon, and gets it to Kyle. So that is, by effect, the cycle time was how long it actually took him to do all of that, right? The process time was the same thing, the actual time it took him to do that, multiplied by his resource utilization, which was he wasn't really doing anything, so not much effect there. And then variation, multiplied by variation. There was no variation in there because we had the bullet, we had the ice, we had the cup. Now, what if you came to the bar and 40 other people were around the bar, sitting there drinking, needing drinks? Now my resource utilization, I'm going all over. Your waiting time is increasing, right? Or what if I have no clean cups? Variation. Oh boy, now I got to go. Or what if I have no bourbon? Or if I don't have ice? Or yeah, you get the point. So that's Kingman's formula applied. So how can you apply that to what you do? What do we got next? So buffers, right? This is our only defense against you. Remember those 8 wastes? Who can name the 8 wastes we talked about? Who can name one of the 8 wastes we talked about? Thank you. I hate that though. Yeah, that's the acronym. So down. Okay, thank you. Defects. What else? Overproduction. What else? Waiting. What else? Motion. Nice. Strong word. What's your name? Thank you, Alex. That was awesome. What else? T. Transportation. What's the I for? Inventory. And the M, you said motion. And the E? Extra processing. Dang, y'all are good, man. I'm going to leave here like satisfied. Sweet. So buffers, that's our only defense against those 8 wastes. There are 3 types of buffers. Only 3 types of buffers in what we do from a construction standpoint. The first one is a time buffer. We are all pretty familiar with this, right? We're all contractors. Most of us are contractors. We add 5 to 10% of the schedule at the end of the job, and we call it punch list, or we call it commissioning, or we call it whatever internal GC float that we want to call it. We still end up using it. And so that's just additional time worked in our schedule. There's an inventory buffer, which is not what it sounds like. An inventory buffer sounds like it's extra material. That's not what it is. An inventory buffer is workable backlog. It's things that I can do that aren't going to affect other people when variation hits me. When variation hits me and I've got to make an alter, or I've got to Omaha, audible it, I'm going to move to my workable backlog where I know that I can do this work, but it's not going to affect the critical path. It's not going to put work in place that we have to take away because that work has been thought out and planned for and verified by all of our trades. And then there's capacity buffers. And that's what you thought inventory buffers was. Capacity buffers is saying I have just enough extra people, I have just enough extra material, and just enough extra equipment in order to work on my workable backlog when I experience variation. And I'm telling you right now, so this is the only thing I'll say about critical path. A schedule should never be completed without buffers in it. If you're scheduling a construction project with one activity to another, to finish, you are doing it wrong. You will never, variation is going to happen and you will end up pushing left, or you will end up stacking trades, or you will end up disrespecting people, which is where our industry is currently, with 3/4 of our projects being over budget and past schedule. We have a serious, I don't know if you guys know this, we have a significant problem in our industry with projects being on time and under budget. It is not okay. And poor Chris, like the electricians are always the ones at the end of the road, always. And you feel the effect all the time, I'm sure. It's a huge cause. Yeah, man. Don't GC me, bro. Okay, sorry. So tell me this, in what ways have y'all experienced production loss? Don't worry, I'll wait. Remember, Little's law, the law of bottlenecks, the law of variation, and Kingman's formula. How have y'all experienced those? Tell me more. Waiting on materials, yeah. Yep. Amen. Is it still that way, Chris? Yeah. Any end in sight? What else? People, yeah, not just material shortage. I can't get material, I can't get people either. Holy cow. It's unbelievable. Tell me more. Weather? Yeah, variation. Who's got I guess bottleneck is kind of people. Weather could even be a bottleneck. Who's got what about Little's Law? Has anybody ever done a project and worked on an entire floor at a time? Pretty common practice. Yeah, no? Yes? You know, if you would have broke those up into more zones, you would have moved faster. I mean, think about it from this perspective. If we wanted to take those balls and pass it all the way from me to Chris and have it touch everybody, would it be more efficient for me to release one ball into progress until it got there, or a bunch of balls, right? If y'all were all one floor versus you all being an individual zone on a floor, we would move a lot faster if we had more work in progress. What else? Give me one or two more. These are the physics of production. I know y'all, even like in the office, y'all are experiencing these. I guarantee you. Who's got one from an office perspective? Yeah. Engineers being a bottleneck, absolutely. Getting a design, owners are always, oftentimes owners can be bottlenecks, just trying to make the decision and figure out what are we going to do. Yeah. And then they pass that decision to an architect and their designer and that, yeah, absolutely. Yep, that too. Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else dying to share? Y'all have been quiet front row. Yeah, absolutely. What does that do to us?
Well, my specific example was we were working a building, we were had it done, we were working counterclockwise direction or clockwise direction for our own efficiency. And about 2/3 of the way through the project, the owner comes in and says, "No, we need the last room you're working on first."
Oh, that makes me want to throw up. Oh my gosh. What did that do to you?
They just changed it. Well, we had to scramble around at the last minute to redirect everybody to say, "Look, no, we're working this way, but we need to work this way." A couple of weeks worth of downtime, but we got it reorganized.
Yeah.
Made it out.
It takes that downtime though. It takes that, all right, let's stop, hit the brakes, let's figure it out. But I mean, just think about what that does from a morale perspective to the people in the field. I mean, it can be rough. Awesome, thank you. So one of the things that I love doing, and we're about to experience it now, who's heard of a plus delta? 2, 3, because y'all hang out with me, that's why. Y'all come to the Lean Coffees. Oh, by the way, we have a Lean Construction Institute Lean Coffee once a month. Y'all are more than welcome to attend. We have usually 10 to 20 folks. Prisma's there, Fluor, Omega, who else? B&K, WM Jordan. Yeah, a bunch of folks show up for that. So DPR, all these folks show up once a month. The next one's April 13th, 7:30 in the morning at Fluor headquarters. So if you want to join us, please come on out. Follow us on the LinkedIn. It's LCI Carolinas Community of Practice. But we do plus deltas in that group. That's why this group knows me and plus deltas. And so that's like, how do I make this better? How do we, what you just experienced, how do we improve this? What added value to you? What are you going to take and actually use moving forward? And what didn't? And this works. I can tell you, I've used this with young children on a baseball field. I've used this with grown men on a construction site. Plus deltas work, and I would encourage you to use them. And so if you can, whip your phones out and hit this. I trust that y'all know how to use a QR code. Scan it. Let me know if you're having any issues. It will not send you emails, so it won't even ask you for your email address, I don't think. Ask you for a display name, and then pop it in there. Populate it for me. What did you like? What went well? What should we improve for next time? I will take these to heart, and I am going to illustrate the Wi-Fi password. Here, I can put Wi-Fi on for you. Yeah, I just turned mine on, so look for Hootie Hoo. Just wait till you hear the password, y'all. Hootie Hoo, yeah. Click on that one. Here, I'll put it. The password is Pinky1004 with a capital P if anybody needs it. So you got a couple of stories, Mr. Kyle. Do you feel satisfied? Did I meet your conditions of satisfaction today? Good. Thank you. Ms. Christie, do you feel like you have any tools to use? Thank you. And where's the other one? That relationships. Did we focus on that? Did we talk about that? Did we? Well, I shouldn't, because they're the most important part of everything that we do, right? And that's one of the reasons I'm trying to be engaging, because I have figured these production laws out over the course of a 20-year career in construction of just getting completely bombarded and beat up in any and every day. And it was when I switched from tools and theory to people and really focusing on getting to know people and asking the right questions. Like I met Kyle, I met Alex. I mean, starting to know some of the names in here. And so that's a good feeling. And that's where it's all at. I mean, relationships are everything. And we do that from asking questions and listening and then shutting up and listening. So thank you for bringing that. Do you feel satisfied now? Thank you. Trust. Yes, trust is everything. Absolutely. Awesome. With that, that's all I have. I'm going to pop my, let's see, let's hit some of these production laws. I need some more deltas, y'all. Thank you, Charlie. Then send the materials down. Yeah, that was tough. Y'all give me another delta or two, would you? You can shout them out too. They don't have to be in here. Nice. Jana made you get up really early in the morning. No, you can see how much fun we can have with this. But seriously, these will, oh man, Hunter, I like it. That's awesome. Again, you can see how important plus deltas are. You should do those after all of your meetings, after anything you do a plus delta. So again, this is me. That's my contact info. The last thing I will say is ABCs. Yeah, come on up, Ms. Jana. We do have a pretty awesome training going on with ABC right now. I know Chet and Charlie are involved. It is with the Carolinas. We started last week in Charlotte. It's called basically SQI, Sweat Equity Improvement. And so if you want to figure out how to take lean principles and apply them to your job site, get with Ms. Jana, get with Ms. Sarah Bregeman. Good night. There's so many G's and E's in that thing. But we'd love to have you. I know, again, Chet and Charlie are members, but we are going to really, really make some headway with implementing lean in the field and improving work for the actual worker. So I invite you to take part in that too. Thank you. It's a 6-week training. Yeah, the first one was in person. The next 5 weeks are all virtual. So if you want to get involved, we'll still figure out a way to get you in there. We've got the first one videoed. Yes, thank you. All good.